Drug king, who was for years one of the world's most wanted men, was gunned down today by Colombian police in the Colombian city of Medellín. His drug cartel was named for the city he controlled for so long. He was only 44, old enough for cocaine to have made him one of the richest men in the world, rich and ruthless enough to have hundreds of people who got in his way killed, from people who ran drugs to people who ran the country. Here's ABC's Mark Potter.
Police say Escobar was killed near a shopping mall in Medellín, Colombia. He was shot to death by members of an elite police squad that had been searching for him since he escaped from this prison outside Medellín a year and a half ago. Colombia's prosecutor general called Escobar's killing excellent for the country. U.S. drug agents said it also was good for the United States, where he faced numerous charges.
Mr. Escobar, certainly by any measure, has to be considered the John Dillinger of the cocaine trade in Colombia.
Pablo Escobar had risen from poverty to build a billion-dollar drug empire, which poured tons of cocaine into Europe and the United States. The Medellín Cartel was also accused of waging a bombing and terror campaign against Colombian society. Hundreds of civilians, police, judges, and government officials were killed by Escobar's assassins during the last decade. The downing of a Colombian airliner and the assassination of several presidential candidates were also blamed on Escobar and his associates. In recent years, as he ran from the police and other traffickers who also tried to kill him, Escobar's power had begun to wane. His trusted associates had been killed or jailed. Even his family tried to flee Colombia. In addition, his trafficking organization had fallen apart. Its control over the cocaine trade had been usurped by another cartel based in Cali, Colombia. Drug agents believe Escobar's death will have little effect on the flow of cocaine, but is an important symbol in the war on drugs and will reduce the threat of narco-terrorism for which he and his cartel had become infamous. Mark Potter, ABC News, Miami.
And here now, using what we learned then and what we know about today's events, is how the end was accomplished. Cesar Gaviria is the president of Colombia. He talked to us from the presidential palace in Bogota earlier this evening. President Gaviria, is it true? Is Pablo Escobar really dead?
Yes, Pablo Escobar is dead. He was killed today by the special brigade of the armed forces of Colombia.
They had been hunting for him for 16 months. These elite police troops operating from their barracks in Medellín, led by officers whose identity was carefully concealed for their own protection.
What do you think, Escobar is there?
Yeah. Escobar is in different place here.
Operating on tips and their own dragnet plan, the troops scoured the nearby jungles and farms repeatedly, swooping down on houses and setting up roadblocks, hunting for Pablo Escobar, the billionaire cocaine trafficker who killed anyone who opposed him. Judges, police, politicians, including a presidential candidate. This afternoon, the elite force got its man.
We received today some intelligence information, and the special brigade we formed in 92 just acted.
In fact, authorities had traced a phone call Escobar had made on Monday to a radio station complaining about the treatment of his family using special monitoring equipment supplied by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. The call had come from the southwest part of the city of Medellín, from a house located just a couple of blocks from the soccer stadium Escobar had helped build in the early 80s. The two-story house was surrounded. Then a commando-like assault began. In the past, Escobar had been treated with kid gloves. In June 1991, he had actually surrendered to authorities and been imprisoned, or so the world thought. But his jail on a mountaintop in the Medellín suburb of Envigado was really like a five-star hotel, befitting an honored guest, not a prisoner.
But the most amazing part of Escobar's pseudo-incarceration was what he did in this next room. There was this platform bed, a stereo set, a VCR, a television set, but it wasn't those things that made this room important. It was this desk. Pablo Escobar would sit down behind this desk and continue to run his criminal empire.
In July of 1992, Escobar simply walked away and went into hiding. When today's commando raid in Medellín began, authorities say Escobar and another man first tried to scramble away across the rooftops, then began shooting at police. Both men were cut down in a fusillade of police bullets. Escobar's body was taken to the morgue, where it was identified by his mother. He was 44. President Clinton has called President Gaviria to congratulate him.
It means that no matter how powerful an organization is, or how much pain a nation can receive from a criminal organization, or how many people we lose in a battle, we demonstrated the world that we were much more powerful than those organizations.
Many observers fear Colombia's other large cartel, the Cali cartel, will now simply step up its own drug production. President Gaviria vows to redouble the fight against the Cali cartel.
Talk about the political impact of this. Joining us now from our Boston affiliate WCVB is Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts, who's chairman of a Senate subcommittee on terrorism and narcotics. What do you think about these views today that this is a real blow to what's called narco-terrorism?
Well, it is, in the sense that the Medellín Cartel, and particularly Escobar, were the principal agents of really terrorist acts. They were the ones who engaged in bombing. He was personally the one who engaged in a particular campaign of terror against the politicians of Colombia and indeed against the state of Colombia. So this is a major victory in the sense that the government of Colombia was under siege. Its own credibility had been seriously tested in the way in which Escobar had been imprisoned, and when he escaped, it was even more tested. Now they have proven their steadfastness, if you will, and in that it is important. But agents are correct. It will not significantly change or alter the flow of trafficking.
It is suggested, Senator, that he wasn't going to be taken alive by Colombian police. Do you think he's better dead? Would he have still been a danger in prison?
Oh, absolutely. He was ordering murders from prison, and he was a symbol of the capacity of the cartel itself to act with impunity. That's the most important thing that has happened. The Cali cartel, however, is no less dangerous in the sense that it traffics in equally as deadly a form, but it does not, or hasn't to this date, chosen to engage in assassination of Supreme Court justices, presidential candidates, attorneys generals, judges. And in that regard, this has to be seen as a major step for President Gaviria and for the government of Colombia.
Okay, Senator Kerry of Massachusetts, thank you very much for joining us.